is that the human body and human mind have certain limitations. And many of you have been sitting down here for a couple of hours without moving or getting up, and your blood's not getting to your brain anymore. So I want you all to stand up, unless you're behind the camera, of course. Stand up.
Okay.
I'm going to reach up the side and stretch. Let me stretch. All right, I want you to put your arms down. I want you to circle your head around.
Yes.
And I want you to do a quick tippy toe for me. Just go up and go down. Don't fall down. Up and down. Okay, very good. So now you've got your energy going again. You've got your blood going again. And that's what I need to present to you. So have a seat and we'll get started. Okay, check test. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like Bruce was saying, I'm Eric Guthrie. I have many roles. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Better Me, Better We, and we do consulting domestically and globally. I am also the director of training for Government Blockchain Association. We have 15,000 people that attend our events in over 100 countries, 100 cities. And our president, our executive director, Gerard Daché is right here. Gerard, raise your hand, please. It's a 501c6 organization. If you're interested in joining in whatever city you're in, we're looking for new chapter leaders. Come talk to me, come talk with Gerard, and we're happy to talk to you. I am also a partner at the Coaching Law Group. How many of you were here yesterday? Okay, we had a great discussion, Miles and I, on STOs, and you guys asked some great questions, so we appreciate that. We're trying to keep the bar high for this presentation. And I also am an author. That's my book, Diversify or Die. That's the first book that I wrote. And my second book is coming out, which is called Blockchain or Die. You get a theme there? Diversify or Die, Blockchain or Die. I'm about to unveil the first draft of the cover of the book for the first time in public. So if you see it, you know it looks something like this. Boom.
Awesome.
Woo!
What do you guys think?
Like it.
Yeah? Does it send a message? Like it? All right. Because like they were saying earlier this morning, the dollar may not be worth anything, but the Bitcoin and the Ethereum and the Litecoin, that could be worth something.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's the cover of the book. It's not finalized yet. The colors and the font may be a little bit different, but that's the message I want to get across. We're going from fiat to crypto. Okay? But this discussion is about diversity and inclusion. This is not a typical discussion in this space because people don't think about diversity when they think about the blockchain. It's like, well, how does the diversity become part of the blockchain? I don't get it, Eric. I'm about to show you how. It takes some creative thinking, but hey, listen, if there's anything you can do on the blockchain, it's that you can do almost anything on the blockchain, right? We've learned that. And even if it's not predictable or not foreseeable, it can have that kind of impact. So what's the first thing you think about when you think of the word diversity? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Anybody?
Race.
Race. What else?
Languages.
Languages. Anything else? Men, gender. Yes. Anything else?
Investments.
Investment. Diversity. Okay. Yeah. Well, very good. Right. Investment in diversity. So you have a diversified portfolio. Right. So culture, ethnicity, so on and so forth. Right. And I can tell you, I've traveled around, trained all over the world, and there's some countries where diversity is something that you would not even think it was going to be. My first trip to Africa, whenever I go somewhere, I read a newspaper like front to cover, as many as I can. And there was an article in there about tribal diversity. And I was like, whoa, that even came to my mind before tribal diversity, but there it is. But when you boil down diversity and the issue with diversity, it always boils down to one word. And you guess what that is? Power. Look them up, good. Power, right? Because when you talk about people that have the power, they want to retain that power, right? And it's the ones that are outside of that field of diversity, no matter what their race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, whatever it is them trying to keep that power and thus keeping things monogamous, not diverse. Okay? But the true caveat here is you only have strength going into the future with diversity. Because that type of monolithic structure is always going to fall because our world, our economies, our cultures, our languages are truly global and diverse. Okay? It's just basically a matter of time before it happens. So how does it relate to the blockchain? How many of you guys know what DAO is? Okay, so a lot of hands didn't go up. So now you go up, right?
Yeah, I know what that is.
So I'll go over real quickly.
Yeah.
A legalist organization supported by smart contracts and a network of computers. And that is like the most simplest, basic way I can put it in the time that I have left. Okay? So let's go from there. What does that mean? There's basically three components to a DAO, right? They're programs set of rules that operate autonomously, and that they use a distributed census protocol. Essentially, I mean, there's many different types of DAOs, there's many different iterations, but essentially at its core, they have those three things. Okay? You guys with me?
Yes.
All right. So how does that impact diversity? Well, we talked about power, right? And I talked about the one word that all diversity has in common. Well, what is power? Power is centralized. What's a DAO? A DAO is decentralized, which means inherently a DAO becomes a pure, diverse organization because the centralization of power is not there. Right? It gets interesting. So, centralization, all the power is in one people or a group of people. For example, what's the most common example for one person in power? President and CEO. What's the group of people that could be? Board of directors. Okay? Now, that may exist with a DAO, but the administration of the work is different because it happens through the programming, right? The distributed consensus protocol. So they're making decisions. So rather than things going from CEO to executive vice president to vice president to manager to employee, it's just going from who's created it out into the smart contract, out to the DAO. So all those decisions that happen in between, where diversity may get dinged along the way, now is no longer there. It's all based on the code. Right? What's the other one? They're run by people. And people can make, by face or by name, they can decide who to decide to do what with the company, right? Unconscious bias, microaggressions are also part of that thought process. But with the DAO, it's all made by the smart contract. The person is not a person, it's the public address, and there's no emotional or cultural triggers. So everything that was in the hands of somebody that could be making the wrong decisions for the wrong reasons is now being made by the programming that doesn't have that limitation or that bad actor kind of issue, right? That's the other part of the DAO that can be very diversified. So how does this play out in the real world, in real life? I mean, DAOs are not really big yet. They're just getting started, and many of them are very theoretical. However, let's create this kind of theory chamber down the line. You are chosen based on your ability to complete the request in the smart contract. That's why you're chosen. So it's not because you're somebody's friend. It's not because you know somebody. It's not because your kids go to school together. It's not because you look the same, think the same, act the same. It's because you have the capacity to complete the words in that smart contract. Okay? Next one. You're anonymous. So no one needs to know your race or your identity or your sexual orientation or your religion or your handicap status or anything else. Right? That is nowhere written in the code. If you can complete the work in the code, no matter what country you're in, no matter what you can do, you are completing the work of that smart contract. And the final piece is success is based on performance. If you don't perform, you don't get paid. I've heard many people define a DAO, a smart contract, as a digital vending machine. The code goes in, the product comes out. It's just bing, bang, boom. There's no waiting for it. As soon as it's submitted, the transaction is completed, right? So as long as you complete the transaction correctly and on time, transaction is done, and you're on to the next one. So that's pretty much the I try to keep it brief, Bruce, just so you know. That's pretty much how we envision at Better Me, Better We, the use of DAOs in terms of diversity. Now, I've noticed when going out and doing some speeches and going to some of the larger conferences, they're actually putting diversity in some of their requests for presentations. So I think you're going to see a lot more of this going forward. To my knowledge, I'm the first person that's really done this kind of talk with somebody because of my experience in diversity and inclusion, right? But I think you're going to hear a lot more about it. And when you hear a lot more about it, you can say, I heard it first at Washington Elite. Right? So, any questions for me?
What was that, the we, me thing?
Better Me, Better We. Yes.
Is that your website? Or?
Yes, I have a website. It's called bettermebetterwe.com. And basically, that's my consulting website. I do a lot of consulting and training based on that website. Also, my book is published by Better Me, Better We Publishing. So that's on there as well. I've had a lot of authors come and talk to me about publishing a book. I've only accepted one other than my own, which we're working on right now. But I have not done any more than my own because it takes so much effort and time and energy to write a good book. This is an award-winning book. This won a business award, right? I didn't even apply for that many. I applied for a few. I want blockchain or die to be the standard in blockchain education. For example, how many of you have read the Satoshi white paper? Okay. The first thing I tell people, if you want to get into this space, is go to the beginning. And the first white paper that was actually led to this new movement since 2008 was that white paper. And if you haven't read it, you're missing the foundation. The next thing I tell them is if you want to learn about the blockchain, you need to read the Ethereum white paper. How many of you guys have read that? Okay. You need to go read the Ethereum white paper. Reading someone's article that they wrote about interpreting it, that's great, but don't you want to hear from the person themselves what they were thinking about when they created this? Don't you want to hear about the foundation? So my book has a couple of very unique things. I mean, there's plenty of books out there about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Some of them are very good. A lot of them are just based on history. That's wonderful. Actually, I read some of them. They have a very good history. It's actually kind of exciting because some of that stuff with the Silk Road and they were avoiding authorities and everything, a little espionage in there. It's actually kind of cool. But how is that going to make you money, right? So my book, at the end of every chapter, I don't just educate you in the blockchain. I give you exercises to do to get on the blockchain, to start trading cryptos, to start using the currency, to start using this technology. Because no other book I've seen actually does that, especially after every chapter. And some of the experts that have read it, they say, you know what, I thought I knew everything, but you just gave me 2 things to do that I didn't even think about doing before, right? So you want to have that experience of reading the chapter, then doing the exercises, then Blockchain or Die is the book for you. Jordan.
How is writing the book overlaid your role as a director trainer?
So I'll say this. I started writing the book before I became director training for GBA because I saw the need. But
Really?
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, really, yes, I really did see the need. But here's the thing: when you're a trainer, if you're a good trainer, not only trains their audience, they also learn from the audience as well.
Yeah.
And this okay. So there are things that I learned by designing the training and doing the training. Because here's the thing: when you write a good book that's instructional and you do a good training, you have to break it down for somebody so they can understand it. Those concepts are very similar, okay? So there were times when we were working together designing the book and I was breaking it down, I said, you know what? This could be a breakdown I can use in this section of my book, right? So you want to learn how to do multiple things within the blockchain if you can. As an investor, as an educator, as a person that makes a GBA chapter, you know, there are so many ways you can make the blockchain